Hey, hi, hello, welcome to episode 116 of Trail Society, brought to you by Rabbit. I'm Corrine Malcolm.
I'm Keely Henninger.
And I'm Hillary Allen.
And holy cow, where did 2025 go? Well, technically, you got 2 more days of 2025. This episode comes out on December 30th, a little post Christmas, pre New Year's listening. Maybe you're going on a fun New Year's run, but I think it just flew by. And I'm wondering what each of you might have planned to welcome in 2026. Any fun New Year's plans?
No, not really. I've been really enjoying just being home. Maybe like skiing a little bit before some like travel in early 2026. But yeah, it's been nice to kind of just like be here, although it hasn't really felt like winter. So that's a bit strange. But no, just here with family and enjoying that.
You survived the Boulder windstorm.
Oh my goodness. I was out of power for 5 days, which was not the best. And then like cell
Oh
phone
no.
towers were down. So like definitely had to use like friends and family. And then gosh, it was awful. But yeah, there was a lot of damage. The wind was kind of like it was absolutely insane. And like looking
Mhm.
at it's always this time of year, like it was kind of eerie because of like 3 years ago, this time of year, we had like a crazy windstorm and then blew down a power line and then it's like the biggest literally um
Huge fire.
well, like in Colorado history, like structure fire that happened. And so like a lot of homes were lost. So they were really, really cautious. But
That's why they like preemptively took out the power. Yeah, that's
yeah,
so.
and then it was just they did that, but the good thing they did because then a lot of just power lines like they were dead
Didn't come
obviously, and
down.
then they went down. There's a lot of
Yeah.
damage. There's still like there's actually
Mhm.
areas up the like Jamestown and these areas that are still without power. So they're working hard
Yeah,
to fix
one
it.
of my best friends who lives up outside of oh goodness.
Matterhorn?
Yeah.
Yeah.
She they left, just went to the East Coast because like they've been out of power. She's a baby. She's like, yeah, we're gonna go.
We're gonna go see family. Goodbye.
No, I mean
Oh,
it's smart. Like I know,
Yeah.
like I was out of power on Wednesday and they said maybe we'll turn it back on Thursday. Well, it didn't come back on because the wind basically just like
Mhm.
didn't stop. And then, yeah, we didn't get it till like Saturday evening. So,
Mhm. Yeah,
uh,
Portland's been like relatively rainy, nothing crazy, like not as bad as some of parts of Washington and eastern of like the eastern state of Oregon and eastern state of Washington. But the funny thing about Portland is that like my old house used to sit up on Skyline, which is like 1,000 feet high. It's not that high,
but you guys would like it
but
snow up there when the rest of
it's
Portland
so
wouldn't. Like
different.
it's
Yeah.
crazy.
And the loop that I run in most mornings when we run really early is sits at like 700 feet. And so I'll always text my friend who lives kind of up there and be like, okay, so are we running up high or are you experiencing an insane storm? Because down here it's a lovely. Because like one time we ran up there and it was literally the craziest like windy, foggy storm. And then I drive to my house downtown in Portland and I just text her like blue sky. I'm like, okay, this was the worst decision we could have made. Like next time we're double checking.
Yeah, it's like I went up to Bellingham to run with folks Saturday morning for the Bellingham Distance Project Naughty or Nice Christmas run. And I had friends who didn't come up from Seattle because they're like, oh, it's gonna be really cold and wet. Like, I think I'm just gonna stay in Seattle. And then we actually like had the perfect morning. It didn't start raining until the afternoon. And I think it was actually wetter in Seattle on Saturday. And I was like, wow, we somehow lucked out up in
Nice.
Bellingham, which never happens. Keely, we know you're studying your little face off, but do you have any fun New Year's Eve plans or New Year's Day plans?
Um, I wish. I'm giving myself Christmas off from studying, so that will be really special. My parents flew into town, so we have like a whole day planned, and then I'm gonna be fitting in, things in the evenings because my brain stops working after like 7. So that's an advantage because I feel like then you can see people in the evenings. So I'm sure we'll do something fun like one of those days. But yeah, we don't have any solidified plans. I'm kind of lame this holiday season, but you know what? I won't have to be lame forever. So I'll just suck it up because end of January comes and then for the next 4 months I'm on kind of my own schedule, which will be amazing. Like a couple months of research, a couple rotations that are really chill. So it's all worth it. It's okay. I can hustle now.
Yeah, you have like a nice welcoming into 2026 in clinical
Mhm.
rotations, which I'm so happy for you about because
Yeah.
it could be totally different. So,
Yeah, it's gonna be so nice. And even just studying, like it's kind of fun to just study all day because you can pick your own schedule at least and be like, oh, I'm gonna run early or I'm gonna sleep a little bit more and run at a little time. So it's just kind of nice to have the flexibility because yeah, officially done with my school part.
ah, I love it. Okay, well, we're past the Christmas and Hanukkah season, but I'm wondering right now, it's the end of the year. You opened up all your Christmas and Hanukkah presents. You're like, man, I'm missing something. So you go over to runandrabbit.com and you're like, maybe I need a little treat, just a little treat for myself. I'm wondering what your little treats might be. Hillary, I see you're wearing a cozy little treat right now.
Yeah, Keely, remind me what the style is. I'm not very good with names. You had this one on last time. We
It's like a
were
quilted half zip with a kangaroo pocket. It's very comfy.
Yeah, it's so cozy and it's like I basically like live in it after a run, especially even if yeah, it's not even that cold outside, but still like afterwards it's like the best treat to change into after a run and then yeah, like fuel, recover, stretch. Yeah, it's just like honestly, I think as cozy as you can get post run, those are the best treats that you can get yourself.
Hmm.
Keely, what about you?
Yeah, it's called the downtime, in case you forgot for the
Downtime.
50th time. But yeah, downtime quarter zip, downtime pants match the quarter zip, downtime shorts match the quarter zip. So you can literally have three pieces of your collection matching, which is always great. It's very much a matching season lately. Like everything needs to match. I got the speed tights because I wanted to try those, and they're
They're great.
awesome.
They're
Yeah.
great.
They have little perforations behind the knee, which I always think like looks aesthetically very pleasing as well. And then it has, the back zipper pocket, two side pockets, has actual drawstring because I feel like where's the drawstrings gone in these tights lately? Like the rabbit speed tight has a drawstring. It's great. And then yeah, the pockets, the fit, the little perforations are beautiful. So highly recommend that. There's also a couple pieces of a reflective piece on there. So highly, highly recommend.
Yeah, I was gonna say I also got a nice flannel
Mm,
recently, not the super heavy wool one, but I got the high country lined flannel and it's super, super cozy. It's pretty. It's kind of neutral palette tone, like browns, blues, reds, kind of. So it's not like too sporty spice, but feels a little bit neutral and chill, but it's a little bit heavier and it's a
mm,
great
mm.
layer that I've added to my cozy repertoire.
That's awesome.
Yeah. Add it to yours. And I guess technically when you listen to this, you'll have like 36 hours left on this code. We'll get you guys a new code in January. But again, it's Hoppy Holidays for 10% off over at runinrabbit.com. Keely, you found a smidge of research for us today before we dive into a little year-end reflection. What did you find this week?
Yeah, so this new study that got launched was a part of a bigger study that was launched a couple years ago. So I'll kind of describe that initial study and then I'll describe the current study just to orient everybody. There's this study that was out that started in 2020, came out in 2021, called the ReFUEL study. It's by Dr. DeSousa team out of Penn State. Shout out Nittany Lions. The original study was with 76 women who had functional hypothalamic amenorrhea or oligomenorrhea, so absence of a cycle for greater than 6 months or irregular cycles for a year, so less than, I think it's defined as less than 4 cycles per year. Um, and they wanted to take this group of women and split them into a control group and a study group where the control group just continued to, train and eat and do all the things that they normally do. And the study group was one that they did a 20 to 40% increase in calorie intake for those women who were currently training with this functional hypothalamic amenorrhea or oligomenorrhea. And they wanted to see what would happen. Like, would there be a return of menses? Would there be a change in BMI? Would there be a change in training parameters? That no study like this has been done. So that was kind of their overall study goal. And again, this launched a couple years ago, and their first paper came out in 2021, and it really just looked at kind of summary statistics for this whole study and showed that, if you did increase calories in a population like this, you could regain menses, you could increase weight, and all of these things. The latest study just came out a couple weeks ago, and it looked to actually quantify how many cycles did it take to have actual changes in ovulatory metrics. So, in layman's terms, like how many menstrual cycles did you have to get back in order to have increases in your hormone levels, like estrogen, in a substantial enough way to induce like ovulation, or what needs to happen for you to be able to have a baby? So this was really cool. This is the first time this was measured. I love that they like did a second paper from this study to look at this. And so they defined the recovery of menses as less than 36 days. So anything greater than 36 days up to like, 50 days was considered still oligomenorrhea. And so that's kind of what they base this on. And so looking at the study results, 58% of athletes with amenorrhea experienced at least one return of menses over the course of the entire study. However, out of those women, only two of the 13 women's cycles were ovulatory. And you might be saying, why are there only 13 people? I thought there were 76 women. A lot of people dropped out or like were unable to monitor their cycles consistently. So it ends up being that the number of cycles analyzed for some of this was a lot lower than 76 women. Um, but then here comes the nitty-gritty part. So here's the question kind of like, okay, well, how many cycles does it take to actually induce ovulation? Like, was there a sweet spot, something like that? And it found that of those women who had consecutive cycles, 3 consecutive cycles, so 3 in a row of less than 36 days, that's deemed kind of like return of menses by this study's parameters, found that they had increases in estrogen and more likely had ovulatory cycles than those who had, less than 3 consecutive cycles in their return. And then these women also had were less likely to relapse to either amenorrhea or oligomenorrhea than the women who only had like 1 or 2 returned cycles. And yeah, so I just thought this was super fascinating because ties into like what we've been talking a lot about lately around fertility and pregnancy and all of this family planning for athletes and also like how to coach athletes back during something like amenorrhea or oligomenorrhea because up until now we don't know how many it takes to actually like regain function. And so answer seems like as many as possible you can keep getting in a row is probably the better, but was really just interested in your guys' thoughts around this because I know it kind of hits a lot of things close to home for a lot of us and also for our athletes.
Yeah, I thought it was super interesting. And this idea too of like I've heard athletes talk, or not athletes, I've heard coaches talk about, how do they coach differently if someone's lost their cycle type of thing? Do they coach differently? Do they focus just on food or do they focus on scaling back their training or do they do both? And that seems to be a big, I don't know, there seems to be a lot of friction points there. And again, I think it look like that makes you want to pause and say, okay, well, where is my general health and well-being in all
Hmm.
of this? And obviously there's physical health and well-being and there's mental health and well-being, but kind of the people end up putting their performance priority hat on as opposed to maybe like this athlete really getting healthy again hat on. And I think that
Hmm.
that's very interesting when it comes to like what actually needs to happen in order to not only get your cycle back, but for to get it back routinely and for you to actually experience ovulation. And
Hmm.
that seems to be like a real something that not maybe enough coaches and provider teams are really drilling down on, but maybe it's because we haven't had that information.
Hmm.
Yeah, I mean, I mean, that's a great point. I think it's like points this whole idea you mentioned, Corinne, like a team, right? I mean, it's like as coaches, it's often I think we're the point. I mean, we can be knowledgeable about multiple, different areas and read about different research, but it's in like connecting the dots to connect an athlete with like, the team and the experts that they need. But yeah, I mean. I mean, it's awesome that they're actually studying this because I think this could be really helpful for a lot of athletes.
Yeah, I was thinking about a talk I gave on Friday. I was partnering with another physician at OHSU to kind of give this women's research group an overview of like low energy availability and its prevalence and how we're screening for it and all these things. And one part of the discussion after the presentation that came up was from a local PT who basically kind of highlighted this in the sense that she was like, "Yeah, I'm handed a lot of athletes who are recovering from, sacral stress fracture, femoral stress fracture, and I'm supposed to decide when they're supposed to run again." And she's like, "I don't know." So
Mm,
like I would love to be able to collaborate with the doctor to be like, "Okay, obviously bone normally takes 8 weeks, 10 weeks, 12 weeks, whatever we decide for this certain bone stress or bone injury to heal. How is this impacted by this athlete's current energy status, current menstrual status, current training status? And how should I proceed as the PT with their recovery?" Because she's like, a lot of people will, maybe have this condition. I don't really know about it. I give them the green light to go cross train, and then maybe their recovery is delayed by a month. And I just don't understand the pieces. And so it's like we need to have a bigger discussion on how to implement this recovery for the
Yeah.
practitioners.
It's like holistic care because you're right that PT is saying, yeah, in theory, this person can start cross training at X amount of time non-weight bearing for femoral stress fracture. And then they can, and this is like probably in like a, someone who's ideally more like metabolically neutral, right? And then they can proceed to return to run at X date. But
Mhm.
that's assuming that there isn't an underlying reason that this person ended up with a major stress fracture, right? That it wasn't just like biomechanically induced, that there was like this person is more than likely in some sort of energy deficit, metabolic condition, etc. Like there's like that part of the injury also needs to be addressed, and the PT might not be able to address it because they don't know, the athlete's not being honest, they don't have access to the coach or the clinical team. Like that is an important piece of the puzzle that I don't think is oftentimes taken into account.
Yeah. No, I agree. Yeah, I think it's like as coaches, we can do our best to like delay the return to run, but it's like the whole picture is more important, right? Because if we're trying to delay the run, but the PT is giving the green light to do all these other things, then you're like, okay, what's the answer here? I don't know. We're all
Yeah.
telling you different things.
Yeah, and the likelihood is like the PT's only working with the information that they have,
Right.
Totally. And
right?
it's not their
Like
fault.
it's not their fault that they
Mhm.
do or do not know
No.
that. I mean, and maybe it's like, oh, you came up with a sacral stress fracture, a femoral stress fracture, like
Hmm.
on intake should be aware, oh yeah,
Right.
this person maybe they no longer have an eating disorder, but maybe they had an eating disorder for a
Mhm.
decade. And
Right.
therefore their
Yeah.
DEXA scan would come back pretty poor. Okay,
Hmm.
well then maybe should I still be like I don't want to say babying, but like modifying their return to
Hmm.
exercise that focuses on more bone building
Hmm.
activities, i.e., really short runs, because runs over 20 minutes are no longer bone building. Strength training that's really like appropriate for that. Uphill weighted hiking on a treadmill in a controlled
Hmm.
environment, like looking
Yeah.
at the physical side of bone building that needs to be paired with proper
Mhm.
nutrition,
Yeah.
i.e., having enough calories coming in that you can build and lay down new
Mhm.
bone.
Right. And then, talking about getting enough calories in to support recovery makes me think about getting enough calories in to actually be able to conceive, and how this kind of made me think about how athletes approach like family planning or trying to conceive. And it's like a lot of athletes don't track their cycles. At least they don't track them with like an ovulation kit, right? And so, how many athletes have anovulatory cycles that they don't know about? How many of them have luteal phase defects that they don't know about? And then what does this look like from an athlete comes to us saying, hey, I actually really want to conceive. I've maybe had bouts of low energy in the past, or I'm like currently training a lot. Like, what should I do? This kind of makes me think like, well, I think we first need to start actually tracking the cycle with ovulation metrics, try to see if there's any ovulatory signs.
Mhm.
Because without those, then we don't know if you're ovulating, and then it's hard to know, like, do we take back training? Like, is this the kind of athlete who needs to decrease training to be able to conceive? Or is it really just like you're totally fine right now and your energy balance is great, your body's working normally, your cycle's regular, you have the peak and you have the high hormone phase? It's like it's really tricky.
Yeah, it's like I even had that conversation with my like we're working with a fertility specialist who's amazing, and just talking about like yeah, like she was like okay, like you train a lot, but you weigh an appropriate amount. You're not like you haven't lost or gained weight dramatically or at all. Like you're very stable in that regard. You get a cycle every month. You've been testing for ovulation. You do like we know that you're ovulating. Like your hormone levels are normal. Like okay, we can kind of like tick through these boxes. And so I was
Yep.
like given the green light in that regard to like train as normal,
Hmm.
fuel as normal, etc. That I didn't like that wasn't our limiting factor. But it's like we had to explore every
Right.
single freaking option because
Totally.
there are so many pieces of the puzzle that come into women's fertility. And we've talked about that on the podcast. It's not like one issue, it's like 12 different things have to go right for
Yeah.
the egg to make it to
Right.
where it
Oh,
needs to be, type
totally.
of thing.
Mm.
Yeah, and sperm to make it to egg, because
Yeah.
the sperm are useless without the capacitation in the female. So
Yeah. Yeah. You're like,
don't
cool.
even, you are useless without us.
Yeah. Yeah. It's a whole thing. So yeah, it's super
Oh man.
interesting. I think continuing to explore that will be, I don't know, something that's on top of our minds, I think, as we continue to move forward in our professional careers, our athletic careers, and our family careers, because they are in a way part of that career process. You guys feel good about moving into a year-end reflection?
Let's do it.
Let's do it. It's been a big year. Um, I'm just gonna like kind of list off the smattering of things that we covered this year. So we talked about goals, athlete contracts. We traveled to and from New Zealand. We got a golden ticket at Canyons. I'm saying we because it's a collective effort here. We got a golden ticket at Canyons. We raced Western
This
States. We talked about trail safety, juggled medical school, celebrated recording over 100 episodes. We talked about fertility, infertility, energy demands of ultra distance racing and recovery, the physiology of fatigue, the Tour de France Femmes, supporting athlete mothers, championed 2 scholarships to Javelina with our partner Rabbit. I went to UTCT. We went to UTCT. I raced sick. You guys don't have to be responsible for that. And we talked about resilience most recently. And on top of that, we got to sit down and interview Sarah Lesko, Morgan Smith, Naomi Hunter, Claire Shorenstein, Lauren Puretz, Rachel Sanford, Jen Anderson Ehrlich, Ann Flower, Daisy Martinez, Claireville Vega, Jill Colangelo, and Margie Davenport. So much in one year. And so I'm wondering what your guys' favorite thing we talked about was, or favorite person we talked to in 2025.
This is
oh
so
so hard, but I know mine right off the bat.
Go, Keely, go. Go, Keely, go.
My favorite conversation was with Jill Colangelo. I think it was the most messages I've gotten from people talking about how much they loved the conversation, how made them pause to think, and also
Mm,
that they loved that she was a different kind of voice.
mhm.
And I think just having that conversation the whole time, I felt both like taken aback and super stoked because it was just a lot of different opinions, a lot of like passion. And I think it was a really good perspective and discussion to have to raise awareness in our own community around some of the like mental underpinnings behind what we do. And I think she just is like very good with words and just brought a lot of good arguments and points to the discussion. And I thought that was the most fun conversation we had.
She brought the feist factor in a big way,
Yeah,
and
it
she
was
was like, "I
amazing.
tried to be behaved," and we're like, "That was so good."
It was
Yeah.
so good.
That one was awesome. I actually really loved Margie Davenport, Dr. Margie Davenport. Like the biggest takeaway from that is I think there's so much that we've learned even like throughout this year and on this podcast about women and pregnancy and how you handle it, how you kind of come back from it. And the biggest thing that she said that I took away from that is that like arguably that's where we're at our strongest, like all the research that she does. So that was awesome. And then wait, are we answering the other part too of like our favorite?
Yeah, I mean, either or, it could,
Whatever your fave
or if
is.
But then
whatever.
like
Yeah,
I
whatever.
loved I missed the interview, but it was Ann Flower, like just her story and like just the Leadville, like and then just to see like what else she's accomplished like throughout the season, it's been so cool. And I think like interviewing people like that you know, just it seems like she has such a healthy relationship with running and sport and performance, and it just doesn't have to be this. What I think what's popularized in when we talk about being a professional athlete of just like going all in. She's like a very high level runner, but also like a very high level like human and like what she does, physician like outside of sports. I really loved her story and what like, breaking that record at Leadville. So cool.
Yeah, and then setting the world record on the 50 mile, like,
Yeah,
okay, no big
no big
deal.
deal.
Mhm.
This speed demon. I really enjoyed our interview with Morgan and Naomi. I thought that they're just like brilliant, and we're gonna get to talk about them in the future. Hopefully, they won't be too cool to talk to us again down the road because they're both like moving into next phases of their careers, and that to me is really, really exciting. Morgan's in a really cool spot now with the kind of junior side of USA soccer in Atlanta, and that is just like so, so sick. They keep popping up everywhere. They were just at Wildwood, like she was just giving a talk
Mhm.
there. Like I was like, she keeps giving talks in all these places, doing stuff with cool people. So that was really cool. And then I honestly really liked our conversation around our delicate but necessary conversation, I think, around Tour de France Femmes and kind of the body talk that came out of it and just like that necessary reflection on elite performance versus health and sacrifice for maybe one day versus long-term health deficits potentially and just like trying to have a nuanced conversation around a very difficult topic that I think gave us all the feels in all the directions, good, bad, and otherwise. And I just think that it's important to have conversations that don't necessarily have a clear outcome or decision resting place where you're just like, it makes you think. It makes you really stop and think about why you might feel a certain way, why you might have a certain opinion, and also like there wasn't a right or wrong in that conversation. And I just think it was like a interesting reflection on an interesting year in women's athletics. So
Hmm. Yeah.
yeah, that was, and I guess building off of that, I'm wondering what each of your favorite stories like were in like women's sports in general this year. Did you have a favorite story that came out of sport? And it doesn't have to be trail and ultra running. It could very well be women's basketball or soccer or hockey or mountain biking or whatever it is. Or it could be trail running. I can kick things off. I'm stealing it.
Okay, you do
Yeah.
Okay.
it.
So not a surprise of the year, but one of my favorite stories, and it's been lauded as a favorite story by a lot of people. So you've probably heard about it already. But it's the idea of pregnancy deferral having an impact on our sport. And it was the story of MK Sullivan getting a golden ticket at Black Canyon, only to find out like a week later that she was very newly pregnant. And then her going through the motions of being like, okay, well, the pregnancy has to stick. And it did. It did. She's got a healthy little boy now. But then she had to go to Craig and Western States and say, hey, like, I actually need to use a pregnancy deferral, kind of like right now. And for that ticket to still be eligible to roll down was kind of really critical for the women's field, in which Abby Hall gets the roll down ticket after narrowly missing a ticket at Black Canyon and Chianti. She finds out that she's in Western States because MK's Black Canyon ticket is going to roll down to her. And then she makes good on that ticket rolling down and wins the frickin' thing and wins Western States, the whole frickin' thing in the fourth fastest time ever. And to me, you couldn't write that. You couldn't write that film ahead of time, right? Like that was so weirdly special and it has all these elements of friendship and camaraderie and an athlete coming back from injury and an athlete utilizing a pregnancy deferral. And we know MK is going to be back at some point, right? To like throw down at Western State. So it's just like, I don't know, it gave me all the warm fuzzies and then to see a Western States champion and in a good friend like Abby Hall come out on the top was pretty cool. So that's my women's story of the year.
I think mine's I would second that one. Obviously that's amazing. I think mine's a little less amazing comparatively so, but I still think it deserves a shout out. I was really stoked to see like Kate Courtney win the elite cross country marathon world championship in Switzerland. I mean, it was awesome that also Keegan Swenson won. So it was like double USA gold, but most importantly, Kate Courtney won. And I think it was really cool for her and for women's sports in general because Courtney kind of came on the scene, for those of you who don't know her, like early 2018, 2019, had a standout mountain bike season, and then kind of has been like up and down since, right? Like has had some injuries, has had some setbacks, has made the Olympics, and then had not a great race, and like all of these things that every single athlete goes through. And every single athlete has to decide after each one of those setbacks, like, am I going to keep going? Do I have the confidence to keep trying? And then all along this journey, she's been putting in all of these things into motion to like increase bike access to women in sport and like get more girls on bikes and all these things. And she's just like a really cool force for women athletes. And then for her to come out this year and like come out and crush Leadville and then crush
Her
this race.
season, her season
Yeah,
was so
it's just
cool because she
like
had ownership for
so
the first
cool.
time.
Yeah.
She was
Hmm.
privateering for the first time,
Hmm.
maybe ever in her career. She wasn't on a factory team. Like
Yep.
she had full ownership over her season and her career. She just turned 30. Like she's a young professional in the sport. And I know that it meant a lot to have autonomy this year in a big way and to see the success from that autonomy and her really leaning into what makes her her was very, very cool. So
Hmm. Yeah.
that's a
Yeah.
great one.
Yeah, you guys all have really good ones. I think the one that the one that I've been inspired of it's more like current, but like as in like immediate that's happening maybe right now. But Lindsey Vonn, I just love that her story of like, she's coming out of retirement and just like kind of proving to women everywhere that like age is just a number and
She's
it
41, right?
yeah, she's 41. And so just like kind of like still being kind of breaking her own records, like becoming the best ever and kind of getting back to elite level after everything that she's been through. And I think, yeah, just kind of showing what women are capable of if, I think they decide they decide to work hard and bet on themselves. I think that's just such an inspiring story. So I just want her to, continue to have success and inspire other women in that way.
Yeah, it was very cool to see her win the World Cup recently. I think oldest
Yeah.
ever woman to win a World Cup
Hmm.
race at
Yeah.
41 is a pretty big deal, headed
Right.
towards Milan and Cortina, the
Hmm.
Winter Olympics coming up right around the corner.
Hmm.
So we'll keep an eye out. Lots of cool Olympic stories. I was like, oh, the winter, we've got the Olympics. There's
I
so many
know,
cool
it's so
things that are about
cool.
to happen.
Yeah.
That's amazing. Okay, what is the biggest surprise of the year in our sport? And it could just even be a moment that like made you go like, oh, like that was really cool. Like anything that stands out to you as far as like a surprise this year. Could be men, could be women, could be
Mhm.
anyone showing up to race.
Yeah, I mean, mine, I think, is what we talked about last week is when, Ayanna Gibson and Cameron Smith are the first US team to qualify for the 2026 Winter Olympics in skimo. Like, how cool is that?
That was a surprise. That was very cool.
Yeah,
Yeah.
by winning the race.
I
Yeah.
know that is
Like,
yeah.
so cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, what about you, Hilly?
I don't know. That's a really good one. I also just think it's like really cool to see like the crossover between some of the trail athletes like onto the road. Like I'm even
Yeah,
thinking
Courtney CIM is also like still maybe one of my favorite surprises of the year.
yeah, well, I'm even thinking of like Christian Allen's third
Yeah.
place at CIM. Like that's so impressive of like, him coming off of all the mountain running and then like a gosh, 209. It's insane.
Yeah, fitness is fitness, and those were very pleasant surprises. I think a surprise of the year was a trail runner needing to be pardoned by the president. I thought
Oh
that
my
that
gosh.
was
Oh
pretty insane.
gosh.
And we're not
Oh,
going to dive into the legality
yeah.
there, but like that was
It's
like
so
I was like, what
stupid.
world are we living in? That felt like a surprise, not like a
Yeah,
fun
that's
moment of
fair.
shock and awe.
Oh, that's
Um,
very funny.
and then I would say again, like we've already given Anne a shout out, but I do think Anne coming in her debut 100 mile and breaking Anne Trayson's record at Leadville was a very
Mm.
pleasant surprise. Anne is obviously very, very talented, but that was her debut 100. And like beginner's luck isn't really a thing, I feel like, but that was wildly impressive. So that was a very fun
Mm.
surprise for me this year was getting to see that happen. Okay, moving on. Um, We're going to talk a little bit about trends, and trends can be however you define a trend. And so to start, we're going to talk about something that we want to leave behind in 2025. Maybe the sport can leave it behind, the world can leave it behind. What are we leaving behind in 2025 versus something that we hope we bring into 2026 with us?
Okay, so mine is nuanced because I think that like high carb, I think we can just like leave behind because this is nuanced. It's not like I'm not saying I love that we like big dogs got to eat, right? But it's just like
Big dogs don't have to shit their pants though.
exactly. That's the point. Like we don't need
There's
to
a lot
go
of poopy
that
pants
far.
out there. Yeah.
Like so like let's like still keep carbs, but like maybe let's be a little bit critical about how many carbs those are and like maybe listen to the research about how much high carb women should be consuming versus just going along with the trends for what men are consuming. Like once we're up at like 200 of grams per hour, I think it's a little bit much. So let's
Yeah.
leave that behind.
There are definitely people that are eating 120 to 140 grams per hour and they're also pooping their pants in races. They might win, but they're also pooping themselves, and that can't be good on your GI system. So I have to
No.
imagine that there's probably a nuanced happy medium there.
Yeah, let's take that with us.
It's
So
like any pendulum. It was the wrong way for a long time. It's swung way too far, which is
exactly,
like
I
all
know.
pendulums, and it
Let's
will swing
find
back to the middle.
a happy medium. So that's the
But
trend.
I'm sure people were also shitting their pants when they weren't eating at all too. So it's
True.
like,
It turns out osmolality matters no matter which direction you go.
yeah.
Right.
So let's just find that common middle ground osmolality, please.
Yeah,
Well,
Stacey Sims and Alan Lim are like, you guys, we've been talking about this for like 2 decades now.
exactly.
So
Like we'll
funny.
help you find the happy medium.
Yeah. Like join us on the dark side. Come join us. Okay, so I think that's a good one to leave behind in 2025. Hopefully we bring, we don't need diapers out there at 100 coming near you. Keely, any other things that you want to leave behind in 2025
Mm,
as a whole, as for the sport?
yeah, I think the one thing that it's not really related to the sport. Mine's more like a tangent because I'm surrounded by a lot of like young people. I would like to leave behind barrel pants.
You're like, I hang out with Gen Z every day and it's too much for
And
me.
like they're just so like they're not cool and they're so short on people who are tall. So like I'll never be able to wear them. I think they're kind of ridiculous. So that's my hot take and that's what I would like to leave behind.
I
I
think
like
that's
it.
great. That is excellent. I was like, ooh, do I have something that's in the middle here, maybe? And I don't know that I have anything that's in the middle per se, as far as leaving behind in 2025. I feel like I'm on a little bit of a Luddite movement, and I would like to leave behind personally some of the like, not hyper connectivity, but
Mm,
like doom scrolling or
mhm.
like I'm really feeling like the burnout of technology in a big way, and I'm excited to hopefully leave some technology like AI just nonsense videos and whatnot. Like
Oh,
Oh,
I don't need that
yeah.
garbage in my life. So I think I'm leaving modern tech maybe in the rear
Hmm.
view
I
for
feel that.
2025.
Yeah. It's just
Okay.
gone too far.
Yeah,
mm.
it's
Yeah.
I don't know. And I also think about like my friends who like aren't on social media, for example. Like I have a friend who had a baby recently, and maybe she's listening to this because sometimes when she misses me, she listens to this. And I was like, I don't like we haven't talked in a second. And it's like, and I don't know how she's doing because she's not on social media. And I was like, that's insane. Like I can call her on a phone or like write her a letter or go and see her. And it's like that shouldn't be the friction point. And so
Hmm.
yeah, I want more human connection and less internet connection.
Hmm.
Going
Yeah.
off the grid in 2025, 2026. Okay. On the flip side of that, so barrel pants technology, super high carbs in the past. What do we hope we bring with us into 2026? What do we hope, besides osmolality, because we've already said that we're pitching osmolality for 2026, what are we hoping for in 2026 from like a fashion trend, from a sports trend, from a person trend? What do you hope comes with you into 2026?
Um, I think just like I don't know, maybe more of like the toxic, I think like mental performance and like that whole kind of like viewing the whole athlete as a human and like having more conversations around that, like we alluded to it in the news of like just what it means to be an athlete and how many pieces have to come together to be like a fully functioning, healthy individual. Like having more conversations about that. Like we're not just,
Performance
machines.
robots?
Yeah, exactly. We're not like m machines to like put out performances and whatever. So I think it's a common like that. And then what you said, Corinne, it's like, yeah, having more like community and connection and like leaving the digital world behind and trying to, yeah, to meet face to face.
Yeah. What about you, Keely?
Mm. I think mine's like kind of in line with our initial talk on this podcast. And I will hope that there is continued nuance in how we approach like research and prescriptions and contracts for female athletes, because I think while we've started down a really amazing path and we've started incorporating so many things into contracts like IVF support and all of this stuff, there's still like a lot we just don't know. And I think we're like able to now start to study that, better understand that, and then maybe take some of these things we've added in as like blankets and like make them a little more nuanced to actually help the athletes in the way that will help them the most. But
I like that. That's a win, I think. I think that's something that we can take into 2026 with us. I was gonna say like angst, but I don't want to take angst into 2026 with me. No, I think it's just like trying to reflect on what I always hope for each of us in a new year, right? Is that I hope that we, get to connect to our communities, that we are enjoying our day-to-day lives. I told an athlete recently that we're going to do the boring things really well, and maybe that's what I'm bringing into 2026. I'm like, yeah, we do the boring things well. We do the basics well. And it's like we are trying to quantify everything right now. Like there's a new algorithm for every prescription, for every facet of being human. You've got technology. And people are talking about like continuous lactate monitors and uh wearing gadgets that monitor your respiratory rate, and that's going to be the way that you actually tell your zones and yada 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 yada. And I'm like, you know what? I want to do the boring things well. I
Mm.
want to do the simple things well. And if I can do those things well, I think that maybe, and maybe that's like a attacked for life. Like if I can do the boring things well in my job, maybe I'll be better at my job too. So I do think it's the like the simplification of not needing to quantify everything and just really wanting to do good work, be it running and training or being a good partner or a good dog mom, just like doing the simple tasks well.
I like that.
Mhm.
How philosophical of me. I feel so proud of myself. Good job ad libbing, Corinne. Okay. I also wanted to add in a little bit of fun, although we know that Keely isn't watching, reading, or listening to anything cool because she's studying. But I did want to see, I mean, we've talked about books on the podcast before, and I think it's kind of a fun little reflection of something that you've enjoyed listening to, reading, and watching this year. So I even like to categorize it and be like, ooh, did you, you know, like what did you enjoy in
Mm,
those categories?
nice.
I can try to kick us off if that
I mean,
works.
I got some. You can do it.
Oh, Hillary, take it. What are you
Okay.
doing? What
Um,
is the thing? What are the things that you're enjoying?
so okay, for the book, I think I started this journey in New Zealand earlier this year into like this deep dive into like the fourth wing and then Sarah
We
J.
introduced Hillary to smut this year, and
Oh
she
my gosh.
hasn't she hasn't looked back.
I mean, I finished like all of the Sarah J. Maas books, so that was like
That's
That
like
all
series was
17. That's like
that
17
series
books.
was good. That
yeah.
was the 7-part series, yeah.
Yeah, the 7-part series, and I finished
Mhm.
the Crescent Moon, and then I did the other 5-part series book. So like
Oh
a
Yeah.
wow.
lot of reading in that area, and then I needed a break, and then I went back to like some science reading. Like, Sam Keen is like one of my favorite science writers. He's written like The Disappearing Spoon, The Ice Pick Surgeon, which is about like I think I was
It's
telling
the Ice Pick Surgeon's great.
it was
It's
so great. Yeah.
wild and weird and hilarious. Yeah.
Yeah, and then I read another book of his, which is about Caesar's last breath. It's like how the gases in the atmosphere like came to be, like from which sources, like over the history of the Earth and its development. And so that was really cool. And then basically that leads me to a podcast, which he's got a lot of footnotes in his books, which are just like stories in and of themselves. And so he has a podcast that's The Disappearing Spoon, and it kind of goes into the detail of each of these footnotes in his book and tells like the backstory. And so you get stories from chemistry to biology to neuroscience to like, I don't know, like illegal activities. It's like it's pretty fun. So yeah, and then yeah, with like TV shows and um movies, I've been trying to just like with school myself of kind of like just doing more um, you know, reading and podcasts. So I haven't been like into that as much. But yeah, I don't know.
We'll allow you to not watch anything. That's fine. I can watch stuff for the three of us. It's
You can
fine.
send me recommendations. I need it now because
It's
I'm like on
fine.
break.
You're like, I
You
don't
know
want to
what
watch
the
Emily in Paris, Corinne. Come on.
Okay, actually though, I saw that came on. I was like, that's
Season 5.
okay. I'll watch it. I like it.
the only thing I've been watching is well, when I watched The Pit, which is sound feels kind of like studying. But then I've been watching like one episode of Seinfeld as like my nightly mouthwash because it's like 20-minute episodes, and if I try to go to bed after studying, my brain literally won't turn off and I won't be able to fall asleep. And so
Mm-hmm.
I've been doing that as mouthwash instead of reading just because I finished that whole series and so I don't have any books right now.
Can
That's
send you some
amazing.
Sam Keen ones, but I don't
No,
know.
I can't read fiction, nonfiction right now.
That'd be
Absolutely
Yeah,
not.
she's
I
had some
read
fun.
textbooks in
nonfiction
her
for 12
life.
hours a day.
And
Yeah.
that's true. I mean, I have to do that. I have to do that too. But it's like, I don't know, it seems like fun,
Mm-mm.
but
Nope.
no, I get you. Because
Any have you are you listening to anything? Have you listened to anything that you like, Keely?
No, my like Spotify Wrapped was pretty miserable. Like it was like you listened to Taylor Swift's album all the way through. That's the only album you've listened to this whole time. I'm like,
It's
dang
like you
it.
did a really bad job
Yeah, I've been
listening to
listening to a
anything.
lot of like Ninja Nerd and Mayo Clinic talks, and then most recently this guy called Daddy Goljan, and he's like this professor who just like deep dives all of the like
Oh,
high
just wait
level
until you start doing
topics
your
per
meta
step.
you'll start doing your medicine rounds and you're gonna start listening to, oh,
Yeah.
what is there? They work out of the VA. One of the guys works out of the VA at UCSF, and I've listened to them like with Steven, and they're like whenever anyone's on like their internal medicine rounds, it gets like
Nice,
it's
nice.
like some sort of
Yeah,
like case
so
solver thing.
pretty
Um,
lame right now.
oh, I love it. Okay, well I will be the diversion. Um, okay, I want to shout out a podcast called Diabolical Lies, with
Hmm.
Katie Gaddy Dawson. I haven't been a subscriber officially because they do a lot of like kind of behind the paywall content, but it's because they put out like these like 2 hour podcasts. Um, but they like deep dive into these like very random topics. I found Katie because she used to host a podcast that was sponsored by Morning Brew called Money with Katie, and I was like listening to her for like finance stuff. But then her and one of her friends, Caroline, started this podcast called Diabolical Lies, where they could kind of like be a little edgier and dive into some of these topics. And Caro spent like 150 hours putting together show notes for a deep dive on the body conversations around Wicked and like the history of disordered eating in like famous people, etc. It's just like it's very interesting, holistic, like societal perspectives on things. So I've been listening to Diabolical Lies, and then another one, particularly if you have siblings, you should listen to Talking Over You with Hannah Sturm and Sarah Sturm. Sarah Sturm is a professional cyclist. Her sister is not a professional cyclist, and they host a podcast called Talking Over You, and it's just like two sisters catching up effectively, but it's very funny. And then if you're into cycling at all, they like talk a little bit about Sarah's racing and the races that she's going to in the gravel cycling world. So that one is very fun. But my friends who don't know anything about cycling have also been listening to it and like the podcast. So talking over you is great. I'm gonna plug a Substack that's amazing. Lee Glandorf writes a Substack called The Sweat Lookbook, and it's all sport related. It's oftentimes running related, but it's kind of looking at cultural fashion trends in running and athletics broadly. And it's awesome. She does a great job. So the Sweat Lookbook by Lee Glanford. And then the best thing on TV right now is Seth Meyers periodically does a show called Day Drinking. And it's 15 minutes long. You should all go watch it right now.
Hmm.
It's Day Drinking with Seth Meyers and Sabrina Carpenter is the most recent episode, and it's 15 minutes of giggles basically. Like they both get absolutely shit-faced, and it's so funny. So that's good TV. 15 minutes, little palate cleanse. But that was very very funny. So that's my litany of consumption, and I do a lot of consuming. So I had to really whittle it down for you guys.
Nice. Amazing.
Love
Okay.
it.
We're almost to the end of things. I mostly just wanted to talk about like highs and lows, kind of like final reflection on the year before we do some notes about 2026 and some society slams to close things out for the year. But basically, like life's a roller coaster, right? Like the days are long and the months are short. Somehow it's December. Somehow 2026 is right around the corner. And so I'm wondering from each of you, what is your rose and thorn of 2025? What is your personal high, maybe your personal low of this past year? And that could be running, that could be life, that could be whatever. High and low.
Um,
Mm.
I can devote it to like I guess running and then I don't know. But I think one of my like the thorn this year was like I think like a pretty I don't know, dose of reality. Like, I think I had a conversation with you guys about this at Terrawera when I was like, okay, like, I don't know if my ankle can like take these like super, super long races anymore. And that was just like, I was dealing with a long,
Disheartening.
recovery.
That's a lot.
Yeah. And like, I was talking like, what can my ankle actually like endure, and what am I actually putting it through? So kind of that hard dose of reality of like these things I really like, these challenges I really like, but like what is too much and having that honest conversation with myself. So that was definitely a thorn, but it turned into a rose. Because then that led to a pivot and then making the world's team on the VK. Like kind of like I don't know, just I think being able to, revisit a certain part of my athletic history and then yeah, try to get better at a weakness that I haven't been able to work on in a really long time. So yeah, that was cool. And then another rose and thorn at the same time is starting grad school because that's hard and it's also rewarding and I yeah, still feel like I'm figuring it out. So
I love
Mhm.
it. Keely, what about you?
I think my rose is like super multifaceted for this year because it's hard to say like one thing is a rose without the others, but I think like the whole like journey to deciding to like go back to States for on my own and then like getting there through canyons, getting to States, finishing top 10, like while balancing this like seemingly impossible thing was really awesome. And so I'd say like big rose, but I'd say like with it, it brought a little bit of a thorn because kind of after that whole thing where your whole goal for the year is like around these things, right? And I feel like you intertwine them so much that all of a sudden school by itself's not enough or running by itself's not enough that I think I found myself kind of like early fall with this like identity question again where you're like, oh, is my identity too tied up in running if I can't feel like I'm fine with just being a student or like vice versa? And so like always, I feel like we're always learning. And I think when you do go all in on this really big goal, it's hard to disentangle the different avenues of your life that get you there so that when some of them are gone, then in the future, like when you're taking a break or whatever, it's hard to then feel fulfilled. Even though like what we're doing at those times is enough too, it's just hard to kind of like be okay with that when you're used to having them all kind of intertwined.
Yeah. No, I think it's you've had a big year of adjustment, like professionally from like a education and job standpoint and also athletic standpoint. I think it's cool that you guys have been like from the outside anyway, making time to like take care of yourself, take care of the dogs, take care of JT, have J I know JT's like been a rock and like is also like on dog duty and doing the things. And it's important to have like that support system. I'm so happy that you're in Portland, like surrounded by a really cool support
Yeah.
system as you do this.
Oh yeah, it would be so hard to not be here. Definitely a good decision to stay by your community when you decide to go into this world.
Yeah, I remember when you were like trying to make that decision or like when you were like thinking about what it could look like. And I think Stevens and my recommendation was like that support system is the most
Yeah.
important thing.
Yeah, it's like all these other changes are going to happen, so keep some constants.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a big one.
Hmm.
Um, my rose and thorn. Honestly, like it's been a big year of transition. I feel like I was in like a crazy internship for the year basically with Hoka and learning a lot constantly. And it's been really good. It's the first time in many years where I haven't considered ripcording out of the sport entirely and like moving to a farm and ranching for lamb or something off the grid. So I'm glad that I didn't like ripcord out of life and never to be seen or heard from again wearing Carhartt overalls every day because that was definitely a an option I feel like a couple years ago. So I feel very happy that I have found a lot of balance in my relationship to trail and ultra running and feel good about the work I get to do on a daily basis, even when there are situations that are frustrating. Like I feel like I'm getting to do really cool work, and that makes me very happy. Um, I feel like I mean, I've talked about fertility on here on the podcast. Like that's probably been like the weirdest thorn of the year because it's I've learned a lot in the process, and I feel like I'm in a really good place. But it's been a weird year of like trying not to put my life on pause because you're trying to get pregnant and like having to roll with that month in and month out. And like my racing definitely took a back seat while I was trying to figure out how I related to any of that emotionally and physically. And I'm really happy with where I came out of the year. Like the thorn got blunted for sure. But there was definitely times during the year where it was very stabby and that was very hard. So I feel like that has been a you learn it's like baptism by fire. Like you can only learn by going through it sometimes and had to learn how I related to that kind of big like chapter in life change. So 2026, we'll see what happens. But yeah, it's been a year of learning and growing as I hope we generally have most years are filled with learning and growing. Um, my next to do thing was to talk a little bit about 2026 and kind of what the podcast is going to look like.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Thumbs up all around. Um, I just wanted to set the stage so that when you don't hear from us for like 2 weeks, that it's not a concern. But we're really excited about 2026, and we're excited to continue to bring you amazing Trail Society episodes full of energy and stories and science and news, but with a slightly new format. And we'll have some new people in our corner as far as like trying to manage things and make this sustainable for all of us. But We're going to take a 2 week break and we'll be back in your feed in the back half of January. And we're going to be moving to a weekly format. So you'll get to hear more from us, which is very exciting. You can expect a deep dive with Keely and I and a deep dive with Hillary and I, bringing you really high quality episodes about topics that mean a lot to us. And then 2 interviews a month as well that I'll be kicking off here soon so that we can get things in the hopper. But we're really excited to be in your feed every week and to hopefully give you more ear fuel for your long runs. Does anyone have anything they want to add to that spiel?
Um, no, I'm really excited for the future. I think we also have some ideas for future apparel collaboration and more scholarships and ways to bring new people to start lines. So if you have any ideas or requests or collaboration requests you want to get to us, like shoot them into our DMs. We're super open to chat. And yeah, I'm excited for the new format.
Yeah,
Yeah.
same. That was actually something I forgot to mention for like the take with us into 2026 is like the scholarship stuff that we did with Rabbit. I felt like that was really fun and impactful. And
Mhm.
yeah, I'm excited to kind of show up yeah, with Rabbit and new play like, at the different events that they're gonna be at again this year. But yeah, I'm really excited about the new format and to be in your ears a little bit more frequently.
Yeah, it's gonna be good. And like with that, I think we have to give a big shout out to Rabbit. Um, their support in 2025 allowed a lot of this to happen, and we're excited to get to continue to work together into
Mhm.
2026 to bring you more of all of that, to bring you more collaborations on product, to bring you to more race places, to bring more people to start lines. So just a huge, huge shout out to the team at Rabbit. And again, because you're listening to this on December 30th, you have 36 hours to go over to runningrabbit.com and use Hoppy Holidays for
Mhm.
10% off.
Yeah, and there's still a couple Trail Society pieces left. The crew neck, if you need a crew for yourself or your whole family for the holiday, there's cute flowers all over the crew neck. There's still a couple sizes left of that, and then there is still extra small in the black flower singlet. And so, if
Mm.
that's you, hop on over there. Literally hop.
Literally.
Yeah.
Hoppy Holidays.
And I had one more question because both of you guys have the speed tights, right?
Mhm.
And I think tights are hard. Like, what do you guys think about like if they're true to size or something like this?
I think they're pretty true to size.
Yeah, I size up in tops with them. Like I am normally a medium, but I can wear a lot of large tops from Rabbit, which I don't know. I just have big shoulders, I guess, but that keeps me happier for in a lot of the product that has sleeves and or short sleeves. Tank tops are a little bit different, and then but the tights and bottoms, I think they run pretty true to size, and I wear my normal size in that.
Yeah, like what I wear at in Nike and a couple other brands is the same that I wear in Rabbit.
Nice.
Hmm.
Yeah. Ready to slam societally?
Sure.
Sick.
Let's do
I'll
it.
take this first one because then the next two come from your DM. So they said, hey there, just saw the latest reel on resilience. Would love to contribute to a conversation like this. Really appreciate the work you do. I look forward to listening to the new episode. And this is coming from a mental performance coach with a rowing background. Yeah, there's lots of cool work being done in this space. So I hope you enjoyed that episode. Haley, what do you got?
Oh, this is so funny. I ran the Phoenix Half Marathon on a road race, my first ever like road thing. And
Nice.
this woman was so cute. I was like kind of walking around and I saw this woman like with her husband like walk by a couple times and then she's just like, is are you Hillary Allen? And then she's like, I love the podcast. She's like, what are you doing at a road race? And I'm like, it was so cute. She was so excited. And the first thing it was like, she just had to tell us how much that she loved the podcast. And yeah, she was just so stoked about her half marathon. We were joking that we didn't know what to do with ourselves because it was like, 9 a.m. when we were finished running.
You're like, what do I do with my hands? This is crazy.
Yeah. But she was so stoked and really just really cute. It was I think it both caught us off guard because I was like, yeah, no one knows me here. But apparently yeah, they're like they follow us in the road running world too. But she also runs trails, but it was fun.
That's amazing. We love that.
Yeah, I was
Okay.
doing a local like 5K turn to 6K that my family wasn't that stoked about for Turkey Trot and there's people there that knew who I was and I was like, "What? Who are you?" But Portland's also really tiny, but it's like a reminder that trail runners and often kind of like cross-pollinate with road
Of
runners and
course.
vice versa.
Yeah.
Okay, last one. Hello, I'm a huge fan of Trail Study. I'm always rooting for you when you toe a start line. I've noticed you sometimes run with your dog. Sorry, this was sent to me, but I'm punting the question to the group because Corinne also has dogs,
I
which
don't.
they do as well. Hillary doesn't, so you might not have a great valid opinion for this
But
one.
I run with people who have dogs. So
There we go. So maybe you will. I'm working on an early idea around fueling dogs for trail days, similar to how we fuel ourselves. I don't have a product yet, just trying to understand how people do this with their dogs today. Do you currently give your dog anything to eat during your long runs? And what's the most annoying part of managing your dog's energy on longer outings?
I feel like Keely has personal experience with
yeah.
maybe one specific dog not always
Yeah.
enjoying parts of the run. And Pete's the same way. We joke that Pete looks like the sport model, but is actually the comfort model. Like she's currently laying on the front porch in her dog bed because it's sunny out, and that's like would prefer to do that any day over go for a run with especially just me. If we are meeting any other one person, she's like way more into it and thinks it's the best time ever. But I'm wondering, Keely, for you, like, do you bring anything like snack wise for an energy purpose for your dog on runs versus like
Uh,
sometimes I use snacks for corrective reasons, which is
right.
different than like
Yeah.
fueling.
Yeah, same. I mean, I'm also, I guess right now, the longest I'm running a dog is like 70 minutes, if
Hmm.
not mostly shorter than that. And so I don't really view that as like a time that you'd need fuel because like I don't bring myself fuel. But it's also cold, so I don't need to bring water for that either. I have water at the car. But when I used to bring Jade on my long runs, because she's like the runner extraordinaire of the dogs, um, I would bring her snacks, but most of the time it was like, a couple dog treats and like maybe I'd give her a stroop waffle. So, not the best. I wouldn't listen to that advice. But I've never really seen them bonk from an energy perspective. I've seen JD like slow down due to the heat, so I've like given her extra water or cooled her off. But like I don't know if they're gonna bonk quite as much, and then I always just replenish when they get home. But as I'm saying this, I'm like, well, why is their physiology any different? So
Yeah,
maybe
I
we
think
should bring more snacks.
yeah, I think there is something to be said. I think different dog breeds also have problems with like eating too close or too like pre or post exercise. They might, it's like deep chested dogs can get like a bloat basically. And so I think you have to be a little bit cautious with that actually. And so for the most part, we're bringing water for Pete
Mm-hmm.
on runs, particularly if it's like the streams are dry here. We don't necessarily run her that long, but she'll do up to like 2-ish hours with us right now. And that's like, but we're maybe only covering like 9 to 10 miles because we're like going up and down Psy or something.
Mm-hmm.
Or like Psy's like 7.5 to 8 miles round trip, depending on how you go. And it's like a 2 hour run. So it's like she's out for that time, but we're not just like covering a ton of distance. And then the uphill is like so easy for her. And it's the downhill where she's like, oh no, my legs are too small. Um, but for the most part, we're bringing food. Like if we're on longer long runs with her when she was doing slightly more mileage, we'd bring like some dog treats or some like string cheese because like I can eat string cheese and like she loves string cheese. So that's like
Mm-hmm.
great. But mostly we bring snacks for corrective reasons. Pete's super nervous around strange dogs. She got attacked on a trail in October. And so has only been more nervous about strange dogs on trails. And I run with Caitlin Gerben a lot and her dog Lou. And Lou is very similar in that regard, like doesn't like strange dogs and is kind of a shy Vishla somehow. And so like Caitlin always has snacks in like her hip pocket.
Mm-hmm.
And basically, as soon as we see like a person or another dog, like Caitlin takes a little snack and is holding it in her fingers and holds it right next to her hip so that Lou will come and run right behind Caitlin and keep her head like right at Caitlin's hip, basically. And they'll just like run
Mm-hmm.
by the person. So it's more like we're using snacks as like a distraction and like kind of like
Yeah,
corrective
training.
technique
Mm-hmm.
versus they need it because of XYZ fueling because dogs for the most part are pretty high protein and fat consuming, particularly protein animals. And so I don't know that they're bonking in the same way. They're not bonking from a carb deficit, given that they like, I mean, most of the snacks, right? Most dog treats are like,
Mm-hmm. This is so
they're not like
fascinating.
potatoes, right? Like Pete loves
Yeah.
like freeze-dried minnows. I don't think those are very
Yeah.
high in carbohydrates.
Yeah. Well, actually, what I feed Eddie is higher in carbohydrate because he has kidney disease, but that's a very
Mm.
niche scenario. Follow-up question, just so we tackle all of these to like our discussion is like if you did imagine fueling your dog the way you fueled yourself or like some iteration of that, whatever you think is fit, what format feels most obvious? Like squeezable, chewable,
That's interesting.
etc.
You can't give them gummy treats because they get stuck in their teeth and then they sit there going, So you can't do that. I'm sorry, that
Yeah.
was an audio, it's an
Yeah.
audio podcast, so I'm
So
sure you loved
true.
that chewing noise. But honestly, I think treats that are breakable because then it's like you can bring one thing and then break off little pieces of
Mhm.
it would be kind
I
of idea,
agree.
or like
Yep.
like a resealable squeezy pack of some sort would be
Yeah.
like another way to do that because they're really good at like lapping things, and so I feel like that would
Hmm.
be
But
another
like
easy.
not too thick because like peanut butterish will just like get
Yeah.
stuck everywhere and then it'll be
Yeah,
on
yeah.
you and then the packet will be nasty.
No, it had to be like a puree style,
Yeah.
like squeezable versus like a paste style squeezable.
You use like
Hmm.
trail butter to fuel you and your
Yeah.
dog
But I like the
first.
like break off idea because I feel like when you have like free treats, everything gets kind of gross. But if it's like a
Yeah.
bar that's like pretty
And you can
substantive, like
like break
break off
pieces of
little
it off.
pieces like a chocolate bar. Yeah.
The only
Not
thing
Obviously
I
not
chocolate,
chocolate.
but like looks like a chocolate bar. Yeah.
The only thing I would say is like with some of my friends who have dogs that I run with routinely is like just not running them too early, like when they're young, right?
Yeah.
It's like you
Oh,
guys
totally.
obviously have had this, like you've had them for a while, so you can run like 2 hours with them. But yeah, that I think
Mhm.
I've run with like some people like, oh, I just got a new dog. I'm gonna take them on a 10-mile run. I'm like, I'm not in agreement with this. Like, so I'm
Mhm.
not running with you in protest because this
You're
is
like, I'm not even a
today.
dog person, but this seems
Yeah.
bad.
And I
Yeah, I'm
think
like,
the
come
bigger
on. That's like,
dogs too.
no,
It's
no.
like JD is 35 pounds, like the most like prototypical herding dog you could imagine. She's running 7 minute pace, looks like she's walking.
Yeah.
And so like I took her on like a lot longer runs when she was like 3. But Eddie, he's like 55, 60 pounds. Like he's capping out at 8. You know, I'm like, no, you're too big of a dog, and your 8 is only once or twice a week at the most. And
Yeah.
that's because we built up over the last year, and now he's 3. And it's like, you know,
Yeah.
Hmm.
gotta be
Pete's
safe.
gonna be 6 because Pete's like in between your doggos. So Pete's gonna be
Hmm.
6 in January, and we got her at 6 months old. We didn't run with her until she was at least a year old, and then it was like a gradual build.
Hmm.
And she couldn't like she doesn't really love running on a leash, so running in the park with her kind of sucks. Um, there's only pl certain places in like the Tam watershed and in the Marin Headlands that you're allowed to run with dogs. That's also like kind of a nice limiter. And she's not a small dog. She's looks like she weighs 40 pounds, but she actually is like 55, 56 pounds. Like she's a bigger girl. She's got these long, little slender arms and tiny little feet. And so she's definitely the comfort model. And so we just and because she really hates running when it's just me, you know, she's running like 2 or 3 times a week with me at most, and those are like
Hmm.
6 to 10 miles for the most
Yeah.
part. So it's like we do a lot of walking. I do a lot of dog walking miles and fetching. So
Yeah.
yeah, don't run your dogs too early. It's a really good way for them to get hip dysplasia and other joint issues and arthritis, and it's really fun and exciting to run dogs, but they gotta work into it just like a human has to work into it. And we had to work her back into it. She like wretched her ankle last summer, like spring, like destroyed an ankle.
Mm.
And we didn't even realize it at first, but she started limping.
Mm.
And so we like have had to build up with her again,
Yeah. We had
like
to do that with
all
JD
like late
too.
summer and fall because she physically like couldn't run
Hmm.
because she was gimpy. And so it's
Yeah.
been a process, just like it's a process when a human gets injured.
Yeah, totally. JD used to like twist her ankle in this one holy like dog fetch area, and we finally figured out like, oh, she must be twisting it here. So we stopped.
Yeah.
And then, you have to wait a while they're building back so that they're not limping. It's so sad,
Yeah.
but it's the same.
Yeah. Yeah. It's hard. You feel like you're punishing them, but it's good for everyone. So more snacks for dogs, more dogs on dogs, more dogs with us, more dogs running on the trail. On that note, thank you guys for an amazing 2025. We cannot wait to continue with you all in 2026. Keep an eye on our social media feed. In January, we'll be dropping the news there. But again, just huge, huge props to all of you who have been on this ride with us. Here's to many more episodes. Until next time, we'll catch you out on the trails.